Welcome to the podcast. If you'd like to listen to an ad-free version of this episode and all of our episodes, then search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts and press subscribe. That's our premium channel where all of our ad-free and advanced episodes live, all in one place. True Crime Today Premium Plus. Search it on Apple Podcasts and press subscribe. Even try it for 3 days free.
Where the line between neighbor and nightmare is razor thin. Welcome to Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi, featuring former prosecutor and defense attorney Eric Faddis.
Let's talk about Chris Brown. Chris Brown and Diddy. Chris Brown, I think now, I guess what we would kind of call the second celebrity that's been publicly, officially accused. There's a lot of, buzz out there of other people, but in an actual lawsuit, Chris Brown accused of sexually assaulting a woman at a Diddy party, a yacht party, in 2020 on his boat. This is not an allegation against Diddy, but against one of another artist that who they claim was at a Diddy house. It's Chris Brown. So when I first saw that, I wasn't super surprised. But that being said, I mean, we can get into the history of Chris Brown in a second here. What was your reaction when you saw this allegation come out from? I mean, this one's only 4 years ago.
Yeah, certainly very alarming accusations here in this lawsuit. You think about Chris Brown's history. There's a new documentary, Chris Brown: A History of Violence, that actually sort of gives a recitation of prior accusations. It certainly seems to fit the description. That doesn't mean that it's valid or has merit. And in fact, that the lawsuit we're talking about, I think, was dismissed at one point. Concerns on both sides about how these accusations are playing out and where they're going to go. Well,
and the individual in this accusation in that documentary, I got a chance to see it too. I think it's on Netflix. I think Netflix is where it's at. They remain anonymous throughout the entire thing. So again, it's another anonymous accuser. Not saying they're lying by any means, but it's like, okay, we're going to make these big claims in public. Let me ask you about that, just in general. People making claims like this, obviously Chris Brown has some history of these accusations and guilt. But if you're just making a claim like this about somebody, that could ruin a reputation. The claim itself. What sort of protections does someone like Chris Brown have, or any celebrity? Let's take Chris Brown out of it because he's such a polarizing figure. Let's say somebody makes the accusation against insert popular celebrity here. Did their name just have to go through the mud and they have to fight it? I mean, Garth Brooks recently got one, and that was really, he kind of spelled it out pretty quick. Like, look, here's the history of this person trying to extort me. Here's what they just did. It seemed pretty said and done. You're like, okay, there's not like a lineup of people trying to extort Garth Brooks after that. But with someone like this, what's the answer to that?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, Tony, was the Garth Brooks case. So, and he's maybe a more seemingly sympathetic character than Chris Brown. Yeah. And what he did was his team really tried to get in front of the allegations. They tried to protect, just as the plaintiff is trying to protect their anonymity, they tried to protect Garth Brooks's anonymity, even as these accusations were taking form. And then on top of that, once they were publicly disclosed, Garth Brooks has filed a defamation case against his accuser. So there are some civil remedies that a person can avail themselves of if they're trying to protect their reputation against false accusation.
When a celebrity does not file a defamation case against someone making accusations, is that an admission of guilt? Is that, I mean, not technically, I know it's not, but if someone were to come at me and make some sort of, I'd fucking sue the shit out of them. Because it's like, you have no evidence of anything that I've ever done. And if you know deep down, like, this is bullshit. If you're a celebrity, much higher profile than any of us, and you get that brought against you, is the right action to file a defamation claim right away? Or is it to let it sit out there, hope it goes away? I mean, what is the right practice to do in something like that?
It's a matter of legal strategy. It's a matter of optics. And I think it's going to vary by case. I think one course of action is to file the defamation case immediately and say, hey, this is bullshit, and we're going to come at you hard. Another alternative is to, especially if you're not in the wrong, let the accusation play out. And if you can beat the accusation, then you come with the defamation case. Because if you do it too prematurely, someone could say, oh, that's just victim retaliation. That's just victim blaming. We've seen that a million times. But if they've already beaten the accusation, then then the other side doesn't have the retaliation argument to make.
Do they typically drop cases if you know it's bullshit and you're the celebrity and you come back and saying, I'm going to sue you for defamation? Is it like, oh shit, let's walk back? Or does some people still dig in to these things going, I'm still going to try and fight you?
Oh, sure. I think that people still dig in. I don't think that filing the defamation claim is going to do away with the underlying accusation or anything like that. Sometimes you can muster the legal firepower to scare somebody out of pursuing something. But I think here, especially with how our cultural climate is viewing these types of accusations against high profile folks, I think that's going to be a less likely outcome.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of questions to ask about stuff like this when accusations are flying. And obviously, Chris Brown has his history. So, I mean, it's par for the course. If you're looking at a personality arc of, is he still doing this sort of thing with the accusations that are out there? Not shocking. But again, it's an allegation, so we don't know. He's not been charged with anything as of right now. Of course, he's done his things in the past, and I don't want to say paid his dues because I don't agree with that. When you're an abuser, I don't think you ever really quite pay your dues for doing that. But he certainly has, in the past gone through all this stuff. The fact that he's still a celebrity, the fact that people still listen to his music, a whole new generation listens to Chris Brown and has no recollection of the Rihanna stuff. That's what's kind of surprising to me. Is this like Chris Brown's second downfall from that first one that has no memory of Rihanna, and now, let's revisit this? And some of these kids are shocked. They have no idea this guy did these things.
Yeah, Tony, that's funny you say that, because I had that same reaction. I'm an elder millennial, and so I remember what happened. But these Gen Z and Gen Alpha folks don't even have an awareness of it. And I guess I thought that things would be kind of archived in this sort of collective social archive where we know, what's happened in the past. Yeah. But it's especially with social media and electronic documentation. But it sounds like that's not the case, and these things are outside of the presence of mind of some folks.
It's amazing, especially when you look at what I've been doing is trying to compare this to when we were a bit younger. And okay, like who would have been the artist like back then if this sort of thing were going on? It'd be like if Ike Turner were releasing songs in the 90s. They were like, yeah, Ike.
Right.
It's just like we knew he was a horrible human being. It's like you beat the shit out of Tina Turner and we're horrible. So no, nobody was like, yeah, you're making a comeback. It was just like a sad, pathetic thing to watch every once in a while. But
I know,
it's
a bizarre thing how the evolution of a person's career and I guess there are questions too about, is there redemption? Can someone come back from this? Or is their conduct so egregious that we have to turn our backs on them? And that's a hard question too. I don't know the answer.
I think it's part of like the fan culture. Some people just stick with it no matter what. We saw it with R. Kelly. We saw it with Michael Jackson. Obviously, he was never, actually convicted of anything. But when you're die hard, it seems they can do absolutely no wrong. Or the people believe that they did no wrong, I think is more important.
Yeah, totally. And that's actually in the Chris Brown documentary, Sachi Cole, who I think is a great culture writer, makes the comment that we've developed attachments to these people, feelings for them based on their artwork and how it's affected us. We don't want to believe that they're monsters.
No, we certainly don't. Welcome to the podcast. If you'd like to listen to an ad-free version of this episode and all of our episodes, then search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts and press subscribe. That's our premium channel where all of our ad-free and advanced episodes live, all in one place. True Crime Today Premium Plus. Search it on Apple Podcasts and press subscribe. Even try it for 3 days free.
You're in the thick of a true crime saga, every detail sinking in, and then, wham, a commercial about something you couldn't care less about. It's like being served a microwaved dinner at a 5-star restaurant. But it doesn't have to be this way. Go for True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts. With True Crime Today Premium Plus, you get uninterrupted, ad-free episodes, extended interviews that dig even deeper into the muck, and early access so you can brag to your friends. It's like ordering the secret menu at a crime buffet. So, search for True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts, subscribe, and savor every twisted detail without interruption.